Okay, we're back. And we are going to be doing my next one, which is Allium cepa. And it's just, oh, there you are. We're going to be
Fine.
doing Allium cepa. And I'm telling you, Allium cepa is a bear. It's onion. And there's so many stories about it. So buckle up, Buttercup.
I'm curious how much of this is going to overlap.
I don't think a
It'll be
lot, because
interesting.
this is really
Yeah.
oniony.
Interesting.
Let's see. Allium cepa. So this is the drawing. And then this is what AI gives us. Not bad. I like AI's little onions, the marching onions. So, and then here's the story. This little, what's it called?
Oh,
Poet. In these days, young wanton girls that meet for marriage be, do search to know the names of them that shall their husbands be. 4 onions, 5 or 8 they take, and make it every one, such names as they do fancy most and best do think upon. Thus near the chimney them they set, and that some onion than the first doth sprouts doth surely bear the name of their good man. And that's from the Popish Kingdom. Neo Georgius, 1570. The onion. Parts used are the leaves, the flowers, the seeds, and the roots. Other names are, and I didn't even, onion, and a million. I'm having to say these. Zonocottle.
there we go.
I'll try that one. Cuckoo,
Yeah.
Ramps and Ramson. Onion originated with the Latin word for unio, meaning single white pearl. So correspondences, the element is fire or earth, and I can see both because it is spicy little sucker and it makes an earthy. It's very in the
It's also an earthy little sucker.
Exactly. Planet is Mars. Chakra is the heart chakra, and we'll see why. Sabbat or ritual is the autumn equinox, Mabon. The goddesses are Hecate, Isis, Ain, and Bastet. Plant information. So it's a lot of times it's mentioned alongside garlic, although it's very different. It's part of the allium family as well. And a brown dye can be made with the skins, and you can use alum as a mordant. It's a perennial, which means it will come back over and over and over again. So the pungency of onion is caused by the large number of sulfur compounds that make up, like, it makes us feel the burning, all the sulfur that's in it. So also, though, interestingly enough, an onion is filled with sugar. It's super sugary. So that's like when you cook it, you're not what you're doing when it gets brown is that's why you don't want to cook it too fast, because if you cook it too fast, it'll get brown. But if you cook it slowly, you caramelize the sugars. So that's why, and it gets really sweet then. So you're supposed to plant onions on Friday afternoon. And in Japan, they planted onions under orange trees to prevent against black mold. So the lore, the stories, and the cultural importance will start in Egypt. So it's told that onions were part of the pay that were used to pay the laborers in the pyramids in Egypt. And it's said that the milk teeth of Osiris's son Horus fell to the ground and created onion bulbs. But in other stories, it's the white eye of Horus that falls, not the milk teeth. So it's the white eye of Horus is sometimes attached to an onion. The white eye of Horus represents health, prosperity, protection. Even royalty was associated with onion. And they used onions as the eyes. They used it all throughout the embalming process, but they used it as the eyes. So they would stick these white, that's scary. It's the creepiest fucking thing ever. Dude, I love it though. So King Ramses IV, who died in 1160 BC, was entombed with onions in his eye sockets. So there you go. And in 3200 BC, the first tomb paintings conveying bountiful gifts and symbolizing eternal life. They had multiple layers, and easily preserved. So that's why it was associated with that. So the onion was part of those first tomb paintings. So there it is, the mummy wraps. So they would use these onions, they would wrap the wraps in onion juice because it smelled like it produced a strong scent and it had antiseptic properties. The preserved onions were even put in the body cavity, and then the onion flowers were attached to their feet. So onions were huge in embalming. They were used as offerings at funerals in Egypt. And some Egyptian Book of the Dead texts additionally describe how onions were placed in oral, nostril cavities, and it would guarantee the descendants' new breath and rebirth. Like when they rebirthed, they would have the breath in them. So that's what it symbolized. Typically, onions were planted in Egypt with its Mediterranean climate around the winter solstice, and then they were harvested fully mature in time for a festival of Bastet, which is also known as the Chewing of the Onions Festival. So then, in that respect, we've got fertility. So fertility with Bastet, and also like this huge like death rebirth kind of thing that's going on in Egypt, this with the mummies and the tombs. So then we get the Bible. Oh, the Bible. In Numbers 11:5, the Bible does mention this, and it's actually another reference to Egypt, though. So it says that onions were on the list of the foodstuffs that Jews missed, like because they left them in Egypt, probably when they were grumbling about the manna. So everybody talks of manna from heaven, okay? So of course, every Christian denomination in the whole universe, and probably non-Christians alike, are trying to like speculate, like as if there was true manna, okay? So let's just, whatever, maybe there was. So God would like put this manna would like grow basically every night, and they would be able to like eat this manna, and then, but it got boring to them. And so the Jews would grumble about, even though they were getting fed, they would be grumbling about things. And I would bet that was probably in the murmurings. That's why it took them 40 years to get through that desert that should have taken them like less than a year, is because they kept grumbling and murmuring. And they were probably murmuring about onions, about the wonderful onions they missed in Egypt, along with their slavery. Although that's up for debate too, whether there were actually slaves in Egypt. I've read recently that there might be a little mythologization of that as well. So Christianity, some more Christianity. Actually, that was more like not Christianity. That was Hebreo-Christianity, because Numbers kind of cuts. We should say Hebreo-Christian Muslim. There we go, because that's, I guess Numbers is for everybody. For that whole line, the whole L in Jesus loving crew. So Christianity, though, is it has another like little fun tidbit. And I just love that picture of Satan over there. Like, I like want to go and like, can I pull Satan's beard and like run around in his little robe? Like I feel it. So onions were made by the devil when he left the Garden of Eden. So that's part of the Christian mythology.
Thank you, devil.
I know. Gracias, Senor Lucifer. So in Arabia, so there's all these proverbs that surround it too. So there's a proverb, an Arabic proverb that says, better to have bread and an onion with peace than stuffed fowl with strife. Okay. In Hebrew, there's also a proverb. So better to eat onions and have a tranquil mind than to dine on poultry and be burdened with a troubled conscience. It's kind of the same. Oh, wait a second. What? Jews and Arabs are from the same part of our country? What? They might have similar proverbs because they're what? That onion proverbs that they share. I wonder how much more they might share. Okay, Morocco. So Morocco. So proverb in Morocco is when people you don't like leave, like if you hate them and they leave, you're thinning out the onions, they will make bulbs. If you thin out the, like, you're like good that they're going away because you need to thin out the onions to create good bulbs. So that's a good, I like that one. Morocco's got me. I think that's my favorite onion proverb. So there's also a story in Morocco about evil greed and a man hoarding onions, and then like he only has them because they all rot. So there's like some sort of mythology about to teach people about being evil and greedy, because if you like you can hoard food but they'll just go bad, you know. So in Rome, now we go over to Rome with our onion. Okay. Artemidorus in 117 to 138 CE is a soothsayer and interpreter of dreams. And he's got this collection of dreams called the Oneirocritica. Okay. And so in this book, to dream of vegetable that produces a strong smell when eaten means the discovery of secrets. To dream of wearing a garland of onions betokens advantage to the dreamer, but harms those about him. Okay, but if you're a sick man and you dream of eating onions, if you dream that you eat a lot of onions, you'll recover. But if you you'll mourn the loss of someone else. If you dream that you only eat a few onions, it's certain death. So you better prepare the funeral now. Okay. In the Middle Ages, and I don't know why I have that same onion picture from Morocco. I guess I just like the Moroccan picture. Okay, so from 477 to 1450, that's when I like to orient us in time here always. In the Middle Ages, probably in Europe, because of course we know that our world doesn't count that there was other stuff going on. Like the Middle Ages only apply to anyway. Okay, so onions were expensive in Europe. They were given as gifts. And there was even stories that they were used to pay rent. You could pay your rent in onions. So then early America. So the settlers would hang a string of onions over their door to protect inhabitants of home from infection. Although I can't imagine maybe what the infectious demons that run alongside like malaria or whatever. It's not even malaria. It's whatever. It's measles and crap. Yikes. Okay, so this is great. So settlers brought the onion with them, but they found they were already here. Oh, here's another one. So the first pilgrims, the onions were on the Mayflower, and they were planted in Massachusetts in 1629 and in Virginia in 1648. Okay, so the founding fathers were great onion eaters. Okay, everybody loves onions in the early America. George Washington, he planted them around Mount Vernon. And according to a 678 report, I think this should be in quotes. This is a quote from one of the books I took it in. And then Thomas Jefferson left detailed accounts that show that onions were a staple crop in his Virginia estate, Monticello. So these were again, this is like a vegetable that was being eaten by everybody in the early Americas, including the indigenous North American. Everybody's eating onions, okay? This is a different type of cepa, but it's still onion. And in fact, the indigenous locals called Chicago Sigagawunj, which means onion place. Mm-hmm. And the indigenous North American peoples made food, dye, syrup, and they used it to treat snake bites. So then we get even more specific with these specific name tribes, the Chippewa, Cherokee, Ojibwa, Menominee, and Iroquois. They used allium in religious rituals as it was among the first vegetables to sprout in the spring. So that's probably where we can tie in Ostara back, is because it is a spring sprouting vegetable, but it is but it is not tied in the way we think, like through this whole Easter lore with the bunny garbage. Okay, so lore, stories, and cultural import. The Tarahumara These were the indigenous people of northern Mexico, and they used a ceremonial food during Holy Week. So this must be later. Later in the game, obviously, there was, uh-oh, we've lost somebody here. We lost
I
you.
saw.
What?
She'll come back.
She'll come back. There she is. Okay, we lost you for a moment. So then in
Weird.
Iraq, I'm telling you, there's stories everywhere about onions. So in Iraq, okay, so this is from Shumiro Akkad of Turanian Chaldea. So Chaldea is ancient Iraq. Often you'll hear people in San Diego when they're Iraqi, they'll call themselves Chaldean. It's because that's where Chaldea was where Iraq is. So, and this is what it was. So there's appealed to Ea, spirit of earth, then repeated the following as he performed the actions described therein. As this onion is being peeled of its skins, thus shall it be of the spell. The burning fire shall consume it. It shall no more be planted in a row. The ground shall not take care of it. It shall not be offered at the feast of a god or king. The man who has cast the evil spell, his eldest son, his wife, the spell, the lamentations, the transgressions, the written spells, the blasphemies, the sins, the evil which is in my body, in my flesh, in my sores, may all be destroyed as this onion, and may the burning fire consume them this day. May the evil spell go far away, and may I see the light again. That's crazy. That's an intense spell. That must be a spell like Job should have used that spell. So Turkey, the lore, stories, and cultural import in Turkey. Reza Pasha, and trying to get this, it must be in bad taste to have a representation of Reza Pasha, because AI did not want to give me this picture. I finally had to like say, let's just pretend it's not Reza Pasha, but just another man, to get it to even create something that was, and like, I said, let's make a man that looks like Reza Pasha, that's in the same environment that Reza Pasha might have been in, with an onion, like literally. So there you go. Must be, and this is not Reza Pasha. This is not even an image of Reza Pasha. It's an image of a man that might look like Reza Pasha in a place that Reza Pasha might have been, with an onion on the mantle. So Reza Pasha is a one-time minister of war to Abdul Hamid, and he used the onion on his mantle and as a defense against the evil eye. So this protection against the evil eye is important. So he also suggested using a string of onions for the evil eye. In Germany, so then there's this whole weather thing too that comes up in Germany that you see with these. So the 12 coats of the onion stand for the 12 months of the year, and from the amount of moisture that is gathered in each of them, the next morning you can foretell the amount of rain that will fall in the corresponding month. So I was thinking, like in Germany, they pulled them apart, because in another one, they actually put the leaves out. I know this is going to be funny. They actually put the leaves out in the same way for weather, to see like how much so you would take like one of the onion leaves. We'll get to it. I think I wrote it down. If I didn't, remind me, because there's another spell that works with weather that same way, and we'll get to the weather component of it. Anyway, let's go on to Scotland and England. So you're supposed to huck the onion at the bride to ward off the evil eye and all powers of evil. I'm telling you, if somebody throws an onion at me, they're the evil doer, I think. I don't know that they're warding. So then, this is in the Black South. So slave traditions had some ideas about the onion as well. And there was contradictory messages that were used about the onion. So in one message from slavery, from Black slave tradition, they said to hold a red onion in your left hand to prevent conjuration. Okay. But in Georgia specifically, there was lore that said that if you would know who a conjure man was if you found an onion in their bag. So conjure to not conjure, I don't know. take your
It's about the left hand and the red onion, perhaps.
perhaps, and perhaps that's a specific and important part to it. Exactly. So in the Ozarks, they also had stories about onions. So they say to burn an onion pill in the fireplace to prevent the evil eye. Again, all over the place. The eye, the evil eye. In Kentucky, you're supposed to burn the skins to receive money. Okay, so then this is the thing, the other thing about the weather thing. This is from Kentucky. So to tell what rain will be for in the year, on the night of January 5th, you're supposed to like take the fill 12 onion shells with salt, and you're supposed to name them. And then the one, like with the months of the year, and the one in which the salt melts will be the wet months of the coming year, and the dry ones, the dry months. So you're not supposed to, also in Kentucky, you're not supposed to plant onion sets when the astrological sign is up in the sky when you look at it, because it said that they will jump out of the ground and you'll have to replant them once the sign shifts.
I think my alarm's going off. Keep going, but
Okay.
I'm gonna it's in the other room.
Okay. So in Louisiana, we have more stories. So you're not supposed to throw away onion peels because it will cause bad luck. You're not supposed to walk on them either because, again, bad luck. Okay. And even more bad luck. If you leave a cut onion in a kitchen overnight, it will cause a quarrel.
Oh.
I know. So now we're into the magical properties, which we kind of already, I love that we kind of know where this is all going, right? Except for we didn't know this. So you can use this as an offering to Hecate. Death, eternal life, reincarnation, obvious. That's super like the Egypt and the like everywhere. Aphrodisiac, love and lust. So this is where we get this. So the St. Thomas onion, you're supposed to peel an onion and wrap it in a clean handkerchief and place it under your head, and you're supposed to say, God, St. Thomas, do me right and see my true love tonight, that I may see him in the face and him in my kind arms embrace. How sweet. And I think that also has to do with the story about how, like, remember, like the original story at the beginning with the Inkwright poem about writing the lovers' names in the onions, and then whichever one sprouts first would be the lover. So that's kind of, there's a tie to magic, to love and aphrodisiac and stuff with that. So fertility, it's really easy to grow this stuff. So it's often associated with fertility. And everywhere you saw it repelling the evil eye, repelling negative energy. It's used for exorcism. So you fill a bag with onion skins or fresh onions, or no, all three. I'm sorry. You're supposed to fill a bag with onion skins, fresh onions, and onion powder to repel negative energy. It's supposed to be an evil ward and even removing aggressive energy. And we saw it also used for protection. So that was another thing that we saw over and over again, multi-layered levels of protection. And growing it around the perimeter of your land, another perimeter growing crop for protection. So also it's used in baneful cursing. Wah, 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 wah. So make an onion into a puppet of a negative person and carve their name into the onion and then put it in the jar. So you can make the onion into the person, basically. So if you had a tag lock for that person, even better. And even better if you're carving their name in, would have even better if you like put their like date of birth or something and then rolled it up and kind of like jammed it into the center of the onion. Sorry, just adding all sorts of good stuff. Okay, here's another baneful cursing. Slice an onion in half. Oh, there's the name. But just the name, not their date of birth. But you could also add the date of birth. Put their name inside it, and then put the onion back together, and then put pins all the way around it, and then bury it. That sounds good. A curse jar. So you could use onions, black pepper, graveyard dirt, and curse and bury to activate. So otherwise, you could also use it on the other thing for healing. Okay, healing, emotional relief.
Yeah.
Because it causes the tears to flow. Cleansing, especially spiritual cleansing. Truth revealed. So layers, like the layers of the onion, like your personality, or like it will be revealed like layers of the onion. Money, prosperity. We saw it already being tied in, I don't know, was it Kentucky? To money. Moon magic as well, because I'm sure it's a big white ball. So of course it's tied to moon magic. More magical. Divination. We saw that with two things, with all sorts of things where you like let the onions tell you which one, or let the onions predict the rain, like it's used, and also with dreams. So there's more dream interpretation that's associated with it. So seeing quantities of onions in your dreams represents the amount of spite and envy that you will meet by being successful. Yikes. That's hardcore. Okay, so these are more modern dream interpretations, where the first ones were like those ancient Greek dude was telling us about them, remember? So these are more modern dream interpretations. So if you eat them, you will overcome all opposition. If you see them growing, there will be just enough of rivalry in your affairs to make things interesting. Cooked onions denote placidity and small gains in business. Probably sweetness too, because when you cook them, they get placid and soft and sweet. To dream that you're cutting onions and feel the escaping juices in your eye denotes that you will be defeated by your rivals. To dream that you're eating them, you'll receive something, recover something lost, or discover a hidden treasure. So many things. So or if you dream of just onions, your sweetheart will be faithful, but have a cross temper. Wah, 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 wah. Fuck him. Dude, I don't want that. Faithful? Fucking go fuck somebody else with your cross fucking temper. I don't fucking want your cross temper in my midst. Dude, get lost with that. I'm like super positive. I can't take that garbage weighing me down.
I don't dream of eating. Like, I don't think I've ever eaten in my dreams, which is interesting. I never thought about that.
I know. I don't think I have either. Interesting. It also denotes attacks from thieves and a failure of crop. So a lot of contradictory dream messages. I'd really investigate, get down to the nitty gritty of what you're dreaming about. And if you're gathering onions, it betokens the receipt of an unexpected joyful news, the recovery of a sick person of your family, or speedy removal of your present bad situation. So gathering is very good. So more magic. So much magic. Divination continued. So like, again, that natural 8-ball, like we told you, you could use it with everything. You could even do a yes or no, or maybe, and then see which sprouts first, or anything. You could like do that with any choice you have, and like make a different onions into natural 8 balls. So it can be also, we talked about it in regards to weather. So we saw all over it was associated with weather. So as a charm for thunder or lightning, onion skin is very thin. Mild winter's coming in. Onion skin is thick and rough. Thick and tough. Coming winter's cold and rough. I love those. That must be from some old farmer's almanac.
Yeah.
To become acclimated to a new environment, eat the onions there. So that's I love that one. That like if you go to a new place, you'll get acclimated by eating the onions there. Now, medicinal properties. Antibacterial, anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, antioxidant, anti-hypertensive, anti-inflammatory, antidepressant, antiseptic, diuretic, and a neuroprotective. Hold on one second. Let me just grab this. There we go. I just needed my water. I was dying. Jeez. I get crazy. My favorite drink in the universe is water. For sure. So onion has beneficial effects on digestion, circulatory cardiovascular disease. It's supposed to help with hypertension, peripheral artery disease, cerebral disease, pulmonary inflammation, rheumatic heart disease, congenital cardiovascular disease, heart insufficiency. And this is why one of the reasons, although it's also tied with like love in different places, especially like divination for love, but also it's tied with the heart chakra here because it really has a lot of like these cardiovascular properties. It also helps with high cholesterol. And it may be implicated in an anti-obesity, so eating more onions. Medicinal properties. Respiratory systems. It's good for colds. You're supposed to make the juice into a syrup. It's good for your immune system. And externally, it's supposed to be used for wasp stings for inflammation, wound healing, antiseptic, bacteria, fungal. So the extract of the peel is also like part of it has constituents that are anti-scarring properties and anti-keloid properties as well. And anti-cancer, we've heard this, so investigate at your own. Anti-diabetic, and it's good for osteoporosis, depression. And also there's the ear. So we hear a lot of onion in the ear. And so for earache, you're supposed to put a small amount of the juice in the ear. And for ringing in the ear, you're supposed to use wool that's dipped in the juice. Also, we have another anti-parasitics. It seems like it's good for parasites. And the old rheumatism cure, though, seems much more interesting for some reason. I don't know why it seemed like it was interesting with them. Anti-inflammatory. So then there's these folk remedies that are kind of really folky. So, but I thought I would put them there. So cut onion in a sick room purifies the air. I like that though. I kind of would do that. I like that for healing. I kind of almost a magical healing property. And a cut onion put on bare feet to bring down a fever. So I didn't really know where to put that either. That's kind of like a magical healing thing as well. And then for an earache, put a small baked onion in the ear, which I'm not excited about that, but putting anything in your ear, but there it is. So then you're supposed to also take care. So in concentration, it is considered an abortifacient in rats and mice. So I don't know how concentrated you are getting your allium, but there it is. So all the sources. And it was a lot, that allium. Wow.
Mm.
Woohoo!